20 rifles, all pointed at his chest. Riker Wade didn't move. Behind him, the den entrance whispered with the sound of newborn war beasts breathing in the dark. In front, Garrett Thorne, the man who'd taught him how to survive against impossible odds, smiled like someone who'd already won. "Last chance, kid," Garrett's voice carried across the 50 meters between them. "Step aside or become a corpse." Riker checked his sidearm. 12 rounds left, 20 armed contractors, ex-military, every one of them. The math was simple, clean, unforgiving. He was going to die here. His hand didn't shake. It never did. Marine training had burned that reflex out of him years ago. But his heart hammered against his ribs hard enough that he wondered if the Varric standing beside him could hear it. Probably. They heard everything. "No," Riker said. The word hung in the jungle air. Final, absolute. Garrett's smile faded. His finger moved to the trigger. Then Captain Carveth stepped forward. 7 feet of silver-scaled Varric hunter, scarred from 100 kills across 100 worlds. He moved to stand beside Riker. Shoulder to shoulder, human and alien, facing down an execution squad together. "You go through both of us," Carveth said. Thunder split the sky. Rain began to fall. And somewhere in the dark behind them, the Mother Beast roared. Ganymede Station hung in Jupiter's orbit like a steel flower blooming in the void. 300,000 souls lived there, worked there, died there. Most of them would never see Earth again. Riker Wade stood at viewport 7 Delta and watched the ships come and go. Haulers, passenger liners, military cruisers, and occasionally, rarely, something else. Hunting vessels. The silent Talon sat in Dock 47. Even from 2 kilometers away, it looked predatory. Dark hull plating that seemed to drink the light. No smooth corporate curves, just angles and edges and scars from things that had tried to kill it and failed. Varric design, built for function, built for war, built for hunting the things that hunted everything else. His comm unit buzzed. Message from Jolene Cross. "Still sure about this?" He typed back without looking away from the ship. "I'm sure." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. The Varric hate outsiders, especially humans. Especially you. I know. Riker, listen to me. I pulled the statistics. Outsider death rate on Varric crews is 87%, 87. And Carveth has never taken a non-Varric in 200 years. Why now? Riker looked at his reflection in the viewport glass. 25 years old, lean from shipboard rations, Houston Marine Corps tattoo barely visible under his sleeve. Eyes that had seen the Titan mining disaster take his parents and sister 5 years ago when Varric safety equipment failed at the worst possible moment. No hatred in those eyes, just acceptance. "Maybe he wants to see how I die," Riker typed. "That's not funny, wasn't meant to be." He pocketed the comm and turned away from the viewport. The contract waited in his quarters. 6 months, 340,000 credits. 1 mission briefing Talvex 9. Krillian War Beast, 43 confirmed kills in the last 60 days. The local government wanted it stopped. The galaxy wanted it dead. The Varric wanted the challenge. And somehow, impossibly, Captain Carveth had sent Riker Wade a message 3 days ago. "You are hired, Silent Talon." Dock 47, report at 0800 station time. No interview, no questions. Just 5 words that changed everything. 47 other crews had rejected him in the last 8 months. Humans were too fragile, too slow, too breakable. The galaxy had classifications for species. Humans fell into Category 7. Minimal threat, optimal for labor and administrative support. Not soldiers, not hunters. Definitely not crew on a Varric hunting vessel. Riker picked up his duffel bag. Everything he owned fit inside. 2 spare uniforms, basic tools, survival kit, and a photo of his family from before Titan, before the accident, before the galaxy taught him that some species mattered more than others. The walk to Dock 47 took 12 minutes. He didn't hurry, didn't delay, just moved with the calm, measured pace of someone who'd made peace with whatever came next. The airlock stood open, waiting. Riker stepped inside. The air changed immediately, colder, sharper. Metallic tang was something else underneath, something wild. The smell of predators who'd seen 1,000 worlds and survived them all. His boots echoed on the deck plating. Everything was wrong-sized. Doorways reached 9 feet high, corridors stretched wide enough for 3 men to walk side by side. Gravity felt heavier 1.3 standard, his inner ear told him. Not crushing, just constant. Like wearing a weighted vest that never came off. The Varric built everything to make smaller species feel small. It worked. Voices ahead. Deep. Resonant. Speaking in galactic common, but with the clicking undertones of the Varric language threaded through it. Riker rounded the corner and found them. 8 Varric hunters stood in the main cargo hold. The smallest topped 7 feet. The largest, easily 8.5, had scales the color of old blood and scars that told stories Riker couldn't read. They stopped talking when he entered. 8 pairs of eyes locked onto him. Yellow. Slit-pupiled. Designed for hunting in any light. Designed for tracking prey across impossible distances. Designed for species that didn't quit. Ever. This is the human. The red-scaled Varric stepped forward. His voice carried contempt the way stone carried weight. Natural, inevitable. This soft thing is supposed to help us hunt. Riker said nothing. He'd learned in the Marines that words meant little when you hadn't earned the right to speak them. Actions first, respect after. Maybe. Drakmor. Enough. The voice came from the back of the cargo hold. Deep and calm and absolutely certain. The other Varric parted, and Captain Carveth stepped through. Silver gray scales, old scars running from his jaw down past his collar. Eyes that had seen 2 centuries of hunts and learned something from everyone. He studied Riker the way a craftsman studies raw material. Assessing, measuring, judging potential. You are Riker Wade. Not a question. A statement. Yes, sir. You know what we do here. You hunt dangerous creatures. You track them across systems. You capture or kill them. And you think you can keep up. Drakmor barked a laugh. He has no claws. No natural armor. His bones break like twigs. What use is he? Riker met the red-scaled Varric's eyes. Didn't blink, didn't look away. I carry my weight. I do my job. That's all I can promise. Several Varric laughed. The sound echoed in the cargo hold like stones tumbling down a cliff face. Drakmor's mandibles clicked. Amusement or contempt? Maybe both. Put him in the lower quarters, Carveth said. We leave in 2 hours. Our target is a Krillian war beast on Talvex 9. It has killed 43 beings in the last 60 days. The local government wants it stopped. The crew dispersed, efficient, practiced. A team that had worked together long enough that they moved like parts of a single organism. A female Varric with lighter blue scales stepped forward. I am Sela, ship's medic. I will show you to your quarters. She led him down a corridor, then down a narrow ladder. The lower quarters were clearly meant for cargo storage, maybe spare parts, not crew. The room she showed him was 6 feet by 8, barely space for a bunk and a small locker. It is not much, Sela said quietly, but it is private. It's fine, thank you. She paused at the door, studying him with those yellow eyes that saw too much. Why did you take this job? You must know how they see humans. I know. Then why? Riker set his duffel on the bunk. Because someone has to prove them wrong. Might as well be me. Sela's mandibles twitched. Might have been approval. Hard to tell. After she left, Riker unpacked methodically. Everything in its place. 2 uniforms in the locker, tools on the shelf, survival kit under the bunk. Photo of his family stuck to the wall where he could see it. Through the thin wall, voices carried from the next compartment over. Varric, speaking in common, probably so he would understand. A human on a hunt, this is a joke. Carveth has lost his mind. Humans only survived on their world because they bred fast and worked in packs. One alone is nothing. I give him 2 days before he quits. I give him 1 day before he breaks something. Probably himself. Laughter, hard and sharp. Riker kept unpacking. His hands moved steadily, checking each tool, each piece of equipment. When everything was stored, he sat on the bunk and closed his eyes. He didn't pray, didn't worry, just breathed and centered himself the way the Corps had taught him. The ship's engines rumbled to life. Deep vibration through the hull, through his bones. The silent Talon was waking up. His comm buzzed, Jolene again. I pulled files on Carveth. He's never taken an outsider before. Never in 200 years. Why use Wynen? Riker had wondered the same thing. The job offer came suddenly. No interview, just a direct message. You are hired. I don't know, he typed back. But I'll find out. Be careful. I'm hearing things. The crew isn't happy. They might try to make you quit. Let them try. He put the comm away and lay back. The engines grew louder as the ship prepared for departure. Stars stretched outside his small viewport, turning into long streaks as the silent Talon pulled away from Ganymede. Somewhere above him, Drakmor was probably planning exactly how to make his life miserable. The others were placing bets on how long he would last. Only Carveth remained a mystery. The captain had barely looked at him, barely spoken. But Riker had caught something in that brief exchange. Something in those ancient eyes, recognition maybe, or curiosity. Carveth was watching him, waiting for something. Riker would show them all what a human could do. Not with strength or speed or natural weapons, but with the one thing his species had always possessed. The ability to endure, the ability to never quit. He closed his eyes and slept. In 2 hours they would arrive at Talvex 9. The real test would begin then. For now he needed rest. Hunters always rested when they could. The prey never waited for you to be ready. Talvex 9 looked like a green nightmare from orbit. Thick clouds swirled across its surface. Storms the size of continents. Jungles so dense that sunlight barely reached the ground. Gravity at 1.4 standard. Temperature averaging 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity near 100%. Hell, basically. With teeth. Riker stood in the cargo bay with the rest of the crew watching the planet grow larger on the view screen. The briefing had been short, efficient. Gravity 1.4 times standard. Temperature 40 degrees Celsius. Humidity near saturation. The beast was last seen in Sector 7 near the river networks. Carveth checked his weapons with the smooth economy of someone who'd done it 10,000 times before. Standard formation. I track. You cover flanks. We move fast and quiet. His eyes shifted to Riker. The human carries supplies. Of course, pack mule duty. Riker said nothing. Just moved to the supply crates and started loading his pack. 80 pounds of equipment, sensors, emergency medical, backup ammunition, water purification, rations. Drakmor walked past. His shoulder clipped Riker's pack. Casual. Deliberate. Make sure you do not slow us down. We will not wait if you fall behind. Riker lifted the pack onto his shoulders. In 1.4, gravity 80 pounds felt like 112. His knees bent slightly under the weight. Then he straightened, nodded, understood. The shuttle dropped through the clouds. Rain hammered against the hull like small arms fire. When the cargo door opened, heat and moisture rushed in like something alive. Riker stepped out onto soft ground and immediately felt the difference. Everything was heavier. His legs, his arms, even breathing took more effort. The Varric moved easily, their powerful bodies built for exactly this kind of punishment. They spread out checking equipment, scanning the jungle with eyes that missed nothing. Riker looked around. Trees rose like cathedral pillars into the mist. Vines hung everywhere thick as his arm. Strange sounds echoed from all directions. Calls, shrieks, rustling that might have been wind or might have been something moving through the canopy. This world was alive, and it sounded hungry. Move out, Carveth commanded. The crew started walking. Riker followed Pack, already cutting into his shoulders. The ground was soft, muddy. His boots sank with each step. Within minutes, sweat poured down his face. The humidity made it impossible to cool down. His uniform clung to him like a second skin. Ahead, the Varric moved like ghosts, silent, efficient, barely leaving tracks. Riker tried to match their pace. The pack bounced with each step. His breathing grew harder, but he kept moving, one foot in front of the other, the only way forward. After an hour, they stopped at a stream. Carveth knelt by the water, examining the bank. Tracks here, 3 days old, maybe 4. His claws traced marks in the mud. Deep gouges, wide spacing. Bigger than the reports suggested. Drakmor grunted. We should set up base camp here. Good water. Defensible position. Agreed. Make camp. The crew dropped their packs and started working. Riker set his pack down carefully and looked around. No one gave him instructions. They all knew their just moved with practice coordination. He started gathering firewood. Even though they would use heat generators, it was good practice. Always have backup. As he worked, Zeph, the weapons specialist with dark green scales, walked past. His foot caught Riker's pack. It tumbled down the bank into the stream. Oops! Zeph didn't look back. Riker climbed down and pulled the pack from the water. His rations were soaked. Some of his equipment was wet. He said nothing, just laid everything out to dry as best he could. Sela watched from across the camp. She shook her head slightly, but didn't interfere. By nightfall, the camp was ready. Tents formed a circle around a central area. Sensors created a perimeter. The crew ate their rations and talked quietly about the hunt. Riker ate what he could salvage from his wet food. It tasted like mud and chemicals. He swallowed it anyway. Food was fuel, nothing more. I will take first watch, Drakmor announced. Wake me in 4 hours, Karveth said, heading to his tent. Riker spread his sleeping roll in his assigned tent, the smallest, farthest from the center. He lay down and closed his eyes. Sleep didn't come. Something felt wrong. The jungle was too quiet. The normal sounds, the calls, the rustling, the constant background noise of a living ecosystem had stopped. He sat up and listened carefully. Nothing. Just silence and the soft breathing of the crew in other tents. Outside, Drakmor sat by the sensor array. Through the gap in his tent, Riker watched. The Varric's head was nodding, eyes closing, opening, closing again. He was falling asleep. Riker wanted to wake someone, but who would believe him? They already thought he was useless. Then he heard it, a soft sound, barely audible, something large moving through the jungle, not making noise on purpose, hunting. Drakmor's head dropped, fully asleep now. The sound came closer. Riker's hand moved to his emergency flare. He gripped it tight, waiting. His heart pounded against his ribs, but his hand stayed steady. A shape moved at the edge of camp, massive, low to the ground, eyes reflected in the dim light from the sensors. The Krillian warbeast, 12 feet long, armored plates covering its spine, jaws that could crush titanium, moving with terrible purpose toward the nearest tent. Riker pulled the flare and ignited it in one smooth motion. Brilliant red light exploded across the camp. "Contact!" he shouted. The beast roared. The sound shook the trees. It charged straight at Zeph's tent. The crew erupted from their shelters. Karveth was first weapon already in his hands. He fired. The shot hit the beast's shoulder. It barely flinched. The creature's tail swung toward Drakmor, still stumbling awake, confused and disoriented. The tail would have crushed him, turned him into paste. But 3 Varric tackled Drakmor aside. Just in time, the tail smashed into the sensor array instead. Sparks flew. Riker threw another flare. This one landed directly in the beast's path. It recoiled from the sudden light, giving the crew time to form a defensive line. "Drive it back," Karveth ordered. The Varric opened fire. Coordinated, precise. The beast roared again, frustrated. Then it turned and crashed back into the jungle. The sound of its retreat faded quickly. Silence fell over the camp. Karveth turned to Drakmor. His voice was cold, empty. "You fell asleep." I did not mean to. 3 crew members would be dead. The words hung in the air like an execution sentence. Who raised the alarm? The crew looked around. Finally, Zeph pointed at Riker, still holding the empty flare launcher. Karveth's eyes met his. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe, or evaluation. Drakmor stood up, brushing mud from his scales. "I was awake. I saw it coming. The human just got lucky with the flare." "Is that so?" Karveth's tone suggested he knew better, but he said nothing more. Just ordered double watches for the rest of the night and returned to his tent. The crew settled back down, muttering among themselves. No one thanked Riker. No one even looked at him. Except Sela. She caught his eye and nodded once. Small acknowledgement. Riker returned to his tent. His hands were shaking now, adrenaline finally catching up. He had seen the beast up close. Massive, fast, intelligent enough to test their defenses. And they were supposed to hunt it. He lay back down but kept his clothes on. Boots stayed laced. Flare launcher stayed in his hand. Outside, he heard Harveth's voice, quiet but clear, standing near his tent. "You do not sleep," Riker realized the captain was talking to him. "I sleep, just not when death is close." A long pause, then footsteps walking away. Riker stared at the tent ceiling. The hunt had only just begun. Already he had saved 3 lives. Lives that might not even realize they were saved. But Carveth knew. The captain had seen everything. That was enough. For now, that was enough. Riker finally closed his eyes as rain began to fall outside. The jungle whispered its secrets to the darkness. And somewhere out there, the beast waited. Learning, planning. The real hunt would start tomorrow. Ganymede Station looked the same as when Riker had left it. Same steel corridors, same recycled air, same thousands of souls moving through their lives. But everything felt different now. The silent Talon docked smoothly. The crew prepared to disembark. Riker packed his small duffel bag expecting to receive his payment and move on. His contract was technically unfulfilled. They'd forfeited the bounty when they let the beast live. Bureaucracy would have questions, investigations. He knew how these things worked. He walked down the corridor toward the exit, each step heavy, not from gravity this time, from something else. "Riker," Carveth's voice stopped him. "My quarters. Now." Not a request, a command. Jolene met him at docking bay 47. Her eyes were wide, excited, scared, all at once. "You're alive." She grabbed his arm. "I've been tracking news feeds. There were reports of firefight on Talbex 9. It's complicated. Mark your trending." She pulled out her tablet. Someone leaked footage from body cams. Garrett's crew. She turned the screen toward him. The video showed Riker, standing alone, 20 rifles pointed at him. The angle was from behind Garrett's line. You could see Riker's face, calm, resolved, ready to die for something that mattered. Then Carveth stepping forward. The entire Varric crew joining him. 40 million views, Jolene said. "In 6 hours. You're famous." "I don't want famous. I want to do my job." Too late for that. Riker's comm buzzed. Carveth's message appeared again. "My quarters. Now. I have to go." What does he want it? Probably to fire me personally. He left Jolene at the docking bay, walked back into the Silent Talon. The ship felt different, familiar now, like he'd earned the right to walk these corridors. Crew members stopped when they saw him, nodded, brief gestures of respect. Drakmor stood in one corridor. The red-scaled Varric watched Riker approach, then stepped aside, made a brief gesture. Claws to chest. Varric's sign of acknowledgement. Riker returned it, kept walking. Something had changed, something fundamental. He reached the captain's quarters. The door stood open, waiting. He stepped inside. The room was larger than expected, simple, functional. Maps covered the walls, showing hunting grounds across a dozen systems. Planets Riker had never heard of, species he couldn't name. But what caught his attention were the shelves. Trophies lined them, but not the kind he expected. No heads mounted on plaques, no pelts stretched across frames, no weapons taken from defeated prey. Small tokens instead. A carved stone, weathered, ancient. A woven bracelet, faded but carefully preserved. A dried flower, pressed between transparent sheets. A piece of metal, twisted, scarred. Dozens of them, each one different. Each one telling a story Riker couldn't read. Each represents a hunt where killing was not the answer. Carveth stood by the window, looking out at the stars. Where understanding was stronger than violence. Where mercy proved more powerful than the kill. He turned, those yellow eyes studying Riker. "I did not know Varric thought that way," Riker said. "Most do not, but I learned long ago that being the best hunter means knowing when not to hunt." Carveth moved to a small case, opened it. Inside were tools Riker didn't recognize. Sharp, precise, gleaming in the light. "Do you know what these are?" "No, sir." "They are for the marking, a ceremony among my people, when a hunter proves themselves. When they complete the troop hunt, they receive marks. Scars of honor. Riker's eyes widen. Sir, I'm not Varric. I can't. The true hunt is not about killing the most dangerous prey. Carveth lifted one of the tools. It is about hunting for what is right, not what is profitable. It is about standing for something greater than yourself. He moved forward. The tool gleamed. You completed the true hunt, Riker Wade. Better than most Varric I have known. I just did what felt right. Exactly. Carveth studied him, measuring, judging. This will hurt. The marks must be earned through pain. If you accept, you will be Tharkin, brother of the hunt, family to every Varric who sees these marks. Riker hesitated. Why me? Why did you really choose me for this crew? Carveth was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried weight. History, truth. 200 years ago, I hunted on a world called Terra. Earth, you call it. The story unfolded like a vid screen in Riker's mind. Carveth's words painting pictures. Memories from 2 centuries past. I was young then, arrogant. I wanted to prove I could track and kill Earth's apex predators. Yellowstone, 1887. Before humans had conquered their own world. Before they had reached the stars. Young Carveth, Gales not yet scarred, moving through ancient forests. Hunting. I hunted your grizzly bears. Massive creatures. Powerful. I killed one in less than an hour. Too easy. Images shifting. Mountain lion. Great white shark off the California coast. Each hunt ending quickly. Disappointingly. I failed to understand what I was hunting. The apex predator of Earth is not any of those creatures. The memory changed, Carveth watching from a distance, hidden, observing, humans, Native Americans, persistence hunting elk across the plains. 3 days, no stopping, just walking, steady, inevitable. The elk running, exhausting itself, collapsing finally. Unable to continue, the humans approaching with respect, thanking the animal, taking only what they needed. Your species hunted mammoths with sharpened sticks and patience. You chased prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. Not because you were faster, not because you were stronger. More images. Ice Age. Humans surviving when larger, more powerful species died. Plague. Disaster. Extinction events. Always surviving. Always adapting. Always refusing to quit. You survived ice ages and plagues and extinction events, not because you were the strongest or the fastest. Riker spoke quietly, because we don't stop. Yes, Carveth's eyes held something profound. Recognition, understanding. I watched humans on Earth. I saw what made them dangerous. Persistence, endurance, the absolute refusal to quit. I left Earth humbled. And I decided that if I ever found a human who embodied those qualities, I would bring them into my crew. How did you find me? I watched many humans over the years. Most had forgotten what they were. They relied on technology, comfort, forgot the old ways. But you, Carveth gestured at him, I saw your record. Every job finished. No matter how difficult, no matter how others treated you, you endured, like your ancestors. Like the hunters I watched 2 centuries ago. Riker felt something tight in his chest. I'm not special. You are exactly what humanity was meant to be. A reminder to the galaxy that the most dangerous predator is not the one with claws or fangs. Carveth activated the marking tool. It hummed, vibrated. It is the one that never stops coming. Riker met his eyes. I accept the marks. The ceremony took an hour. Pain like nothing Riker had experienced. The tool carved into his skin, precise, deliberate, following patterns that had been used for thousands of years. Each mark told a story. Right forearm, the Talvex 9 hunt, waves representing the jungle, triangle for the den, circle for protection. Left forearm, standing against impossible odds, 20 lines converging on 1 point standing firm. Both wrists, choosing right over profit. Scales balanced, one side holding gold, the other holding a single seed. Small marks on the knuckles. Brother of the pack, 7 dots in a circle, one slightly different. Human among Varric. The pain was intense, constant. And so Riker didn't flinch, didn't cry out, just breathed, centered himself, endured, like his ancestors before him. When it was done, Harveth handed him a mirror. The marks were intricate, beautiful in their own way, scars that told a story, his story, but also something larger, humanity's story. "You are Tharkin now," Carveth said, "my brother." A knock at the door. Drakmor entered. He stopped when he saw the marks. His eyes widened, his mandibles clicked. Not mockery this time. Recognition. Understanding. "Captain," he said slowly, "is this wise? It is necessary." Drakmor looked at Riker for a long moment. Something worked behind those yellow eyes. Internal struggle. Pride versus truth. Then he knelt. The gesture shocked Riker more than the marking ceremony. A Varric, kneeling to a human. "I was wrong about you." Drakmor's voice was rough, sincere. "I am sorry. I let prejudice blind me to your worth." "Stand up," Riker said, uncomfortable. "Please." Drakmor stood, but his expression remained serious. "The crew wishes to know if you will stay with us. We understand if you wish to leave, but we would be honored to have you remain, even though I'm human. Because you are human. You showed us something we had forgotten. That strength is not just in claws and scales. It is in spirit, in will." Drakmor paused, wrestling with something. "My brother died in a human colony riot on Titan 5 years ago. I blamed all humans, hated you for existing. But you," he trailed off, finding words, "you showed me that hatred blinds, that judging a species by its worst members is the path of cowards." Riker felt the weight of that. "I lost my family in that same accident, same riot, same day." Silence fell, heavy, profound. "I am sorry about your brother, and I am sorry I made you carry that burden alone." They stood, human and Varric, both wounded by the same tragedy, both choosing to heal rather than hate. Riker looked at Carveth. The captain nodded slightly. "I'll stay." Word spread through Ganymede Station like fire through dry grass. Human receives Varric hunting marks. Unprecedented. Impossible. True. Jolene found Riker in the station cantina that evening. She showed him her datapad, eyes bright with something between excitement and disbelief. 17 Varric hunting crews have sent requests to the Human Liaison Office. They want human crew members now. You've opened doors for our entire species. Riker stared at the numbers. "They'll be disappointed. Most humans aren't like me." "Maybe, or maybe you reminded them what they could be." Over the next days, the change became visible. Other humans on the station stood straighter, walked with more confidence. The Varric crews watched them differently. Curiosity instead of contempt, interest instead of dismissal. Sella told him that 3 other Varric ships had already hired humans. One captain specifically requested someone like Riker Wade. "You have become a symbol," she said, "whether you wanted to or not. I just want to hunt, then hunt, but know that every step you take now, others follow." News feeds across the galaxy carried the story. Human proves worth on Varric crew. Political analysts discussed implications. Xenoanthropologists debated what it meant for human-Varric relations. The betting markets that had wagered against humanity shifted. New odds appeared, new possibilities. The galaxy was watching, learning, adjusting. One human had changed perception, opened minds, proved that strength came in forms they hadn't recognized. The Silent Talon prepared for its next mission. Request from a colony world. Invasive predators, pack hunters, dangerous work, long duration. Exactly the kind of thing the crew specialized in. Carveth gathered everyone for the briefing. When Riker entered the main hold, the crew stood, not mockingly, not reluctantly. Genuine respect, in unison. "Welcome, Tharkin." Riker took his place among them. Not at the back, not at the front, just part of the crew, equal. Carveth activated the holographic display. Images appeared, data scrolled. "This mission will be difficult. The predators are fast, numerous. We will need every skill we possess." He looked at Riker, for the first time asking his opinion at the start. Your thoughts, Riker studied the data. Pattern recognition kicking in. Marine training combined with everything he'd learned on Talvex 9. Pack hunters. They work together, coordinated. We should study their communication patterns. Find the alpha. Disrupt their hierarchy. Drakmore nodded. Sound strategy, I agree. The briefing continued, everyone contributing, planning, preparing, working as a true team. No hierarchy based on species, just hunters, planning a hunt. When the meeting ended, Riker walked to the observation deck. Needed air, space, time to process everything that had happened. Ganymede Station hung outside the viewport. Ships coming and going, thousands of beings pursuing their lives. Their dreams. Carveth joined him, standing in comfortable silence. Two hunters watching the galaxy turn. Do you know why persistence hunting works? The captain asked finally. We outlast the prey, keep coming until they can't run anymore. More than that, Carveth's voice carried the weight of centuries. The prey runs because it is afraid, wastes energy in fear. The hunter walks calmly, confidently. No fear, no wasted effort, just certainty. He looked at Riker. You have that certainty, that calm, that absolute knowledge that you will continue no matter what. It's all I know how to do. It is enough. It is everything. They stood together, watching stars, two hunters from different worlds, different species, brothers now, bound by something deeper than blood. The galaxy sees humans as prey sometimes, Riker said. Small, weak, breakable. They forget that prey can become predators, that the hunted can become hunters. What do you see when you look at humans now? Carveth's mandibles clicked. Might have been a smile. Inevitable. The word hung between them. Heavy, true. I see the future, the species that walked across continents, that crossed oceans in wooden boats, that reached for the stars with primitive rockets. You will not stop. Cannot stop. It is not in your nature. And that doesn't scare you. No, because I would rather have humanity as brothers than as enemies. Carveth paused, choosing words carefully. And because I believe that when humans truly remember what they are, when they stop apologizing for being human, they will not conquer the galaxy. What will we do? You will teach it. You will remind every species that the deadliest weapon is not the gun or the ship or the bomb. It is the will to continue, the refusal to quit, the certainty that no matter how many times you fall, you will stand again. Carveth turned to leave, paused at the door. The galaxy is about to learn what Earth learned millions of years ago. What's that? That when humans start hunting, nothing can hide forever. Not distance, not time, not impossibility. You find your prey, you track it to the ends of existence if necessary. His eyes held Riker's, ancient wisdom meeting stubborn youth. And you never ever let go. The next morning, Riker stood in the cargo bay, ready for departure. The crew moved around him, checking equipment, final preparations. Sella approached, handed him something. A token, small, carved from stone, simple but meaningful. For your collection, she said. When you have your own quarters, your own trophies from hunts where understanding mattered more than killing. Riker turned it over in his hands. It was carved in the shape of a mother beast, cubs at her feet, protected, safe. Thank you. Thank you for reminding us what hunting truly means. The Silent Talon's engines rumbled to life. Vibration through the deck, through his bones. The ship was waking, ready to hunt again. Riker looked at his marked arms, the scars still fresh, still healing, but permanent. Part of him now, part of his story. Maybe Carveth was right. Maybe humanity's greatest gift wasn't technology or art or philosophy. Maybe it was simpler. The reminder that some things are worth standing for, that some species never stop, that some hunters never quit, and that sometimes the soft ones with no claws, no fangs, no natural weapons were the most dangerous of all because they were inevitable. And nothing in the universe could stop what was inevitable. The ship pulled away from Ganymede, heading into deep space, toward the next hunt, the next challenge. Riker wasn't alone anymore. He had brothers, a crew, a family, and somewhere out there other humans were stepping forward, taking their place, proving their worth. The galaxy was learning. Slowly, reluctantly, but learning. Encrypted message, received 72 hours later from unknown source. To Jolene Cross Ganymede Station, tell Riker Wade, I survived Talvex 9. And I remember, the galaxy just learned humans don't quit. Guess what? Neither do I. T. Jolene stared at the message. Her hands shook slightly. She typed a reply to Riker. We need to talk. Now. The silent Talon moved through the void. Hunting, always hunting, and behind them in the dark between stars something else moved. Patient, determined, inevitable in its own way. The hunts would continue. Deep space. 3 days from any station, Garrett Thorne sat in the captain's chair of his rebuilt crew. New contractors, better equipped, more motivated, the footage from Talvex 9 played on the screen. Riker standing alone, defiant, impossible. Garrett watched it for the 100th time. Learning, planning. Sir, his second said, new contract came in, high pay, dangerous target. What kind? Varric hunting crew, Silent Talon, Captain Carveth. Garrett smiled, cold, patient. Accept it. Tell them we're very interested. The ship turned, new course plotted, new hunt beginning. In the galaxy, predators hunted prey. But sometimes prey learned to hunt back, and sometimes the most dangerous hunts were the ones driven by something more than profit. Revenge had its own mathematics, its own certainty. The game had changed, but the hunts continued. They always did. 6 months passed like water through stone, slow, constant, changing everything. The Silent Talon hunted across 7 systems. Pack predators on Kellis 4, territorial apex hunters on Strand's world, parasitic swarms in the outer reaches. 14 missions total, 14 successes, 0 crew casualties. Riker Wade learned to move like the Varric, not mimicking them. That would never work. But finding his own rhythm, his own way of hunting that complemented theirs. Where they used strength, he used patience. Where they relied on speed, he offered endurance. Where they saw obstacles, he found patterns. Different tools, same goal. The crew learned to trust his instincts. When Riker said something felt wrong, they listened. When he suggested a different approach, they considered it. Not because he was human, because he was good at the work, because he earned it. The station at Proxima Hub sprawled across 3 kilometers of orbital platform. 17 species called it home. 30,000 souls living in the cold dark between stars. The Silent Talon docked for resupply, routine maintenance, shore leave. Riker walked through the market district, taking in the chaos, the noise, the smell of 100 different foods from 100 different worlds. A Varric hunter stood at a stall selling weapons. Young, maybe 60 years old, barely more than a juvenile by their standards. When Riker passed, the young Varric's eyes widened, fixed on the marks on Riker's forearms. Tharkin, the youth said, voice filled with something between awe and disbelief. Riker nodded, kept walking. It happened everywhere now. Varric recognizing the marks, understanding what they meant, some with respect, some with skepticism, a few with outright hostility. Change always brought resistance, but it also brought possibility. At the communications hub, Riker checked messages. Jolene sent weekly updates. News from Earth, human advocacy groups citing his story, political movements using him as a symbol. He deleted most of it. Didn't want to be a symbol, just wanted to do the work. One message caught his attention, though. From Commander Sarah Okoye, Earth Defense Coalition, Subject Recruitment Initiative, Mr. Wade. Your actions on Talvex 9 have had ripple effects across human space. We're seeing increased interest from other species in human military contractors, human survival specialists, human crew members. The EDC is establishing a new program, training humans specifically for integration with non-human crews. We'd like you to consult, perhaps instruct. The galaxy is opening doors, but we need people who know how to walk through them without getting killed. Your input would be invaluable. Respectfully, Commander Okoye. Riker read it twice, thought about it, then filed it away. Not deleting, not answering, just considering. Another message appeared, more recent, encrypted, from J. Cross, subject warning, Riker Garrett Thorne's crew took a contract 3 weeks ago. Target Varric hunting vessel. Silent Talon. Captain Carveth. The client is listed as private interest. Payment is 7 million credits. That's assassination money. He's coming for you. All of you. Be careful. Jay Riker stared at the message. Not surprised, just resigned. Some hunts never ended. Some prey learned to hunt back. He forwarded it to Carveth, then headed back to the ship. The crew was gathered in the main hold when he arrived. Carveth stood at the center. The message displayed on the holographic screen. 7 million credits, Garrett Thorne. Contract to eliminate Silent Talon crew. We have 3 options, Carveth said, voice calm, clinical. We run, we hide, or we hunt. Drakmor checked his weapons. We are Varric. We do not run. Garrett has 20 contractors, Sella pointed out. Military trained, well-equipped. We are 8. 7 Varric and 1 human, Zeph corrected. Looking at Riker. The math is not as simple as it seems. Riker studied the data. Garrett's ship. The Reaper's Edge. Fast. Armed. Designed for exactly this kind of work. He'll come at us during a hunt, Riker said. When we're already engaged. Already vulnerable. He knows our patterns. Trained me in half of them. Then we change the pattern, Carveth said. Or we use it against him. All eyes turned to Riker. He taught me that the best trap is the one the prey sets for itself. Garrett thinks he knows how we operate. What if we give him exactly what he expects, but with one difference? What difference? Drakmor asked. We know he's coming. Carveth's mandibles clicked. Not quite a smile, but close. Explain. The planet was called Threshold. Barren, rocky, atmosphere barely breathable. Home to a species of crystalline hunters that had been preying on mining operations for 3 months. Perfect bait. The contract was real. Legitimate. Posted on the guild boards. High danger. High pay. Exactly the kind of thing Silent Talon normally took. Carveth accepted it publicly. Filed all the standard paperwork. Made sure the information was accessible to anyone watching their movements. Which Garrett absolutely was. They landed 3 days later. Standard deployment. Standard formation. But nothing else was standard. He will wait until we engage the crystalline hunters, Carveth said during the briefing. Maximum vulnerability. Then strike. So we do not fully engage, Drakmor said. We fake it. Partially, Riker studied the terrain maps. We engage enough to look legitimate, but we keep reserves, hidden positions, when Garrett shows we're ready. Sella checked her medical supplies. This is a gamble. If we are wrong about his timing, we are not wrong, and Riker's voice carried certainty. I know how he thinks. Taught by him for 2 years. He'll want us desperate, distracted. He'll want the glory of taking down a legendary Varric crew. Pride, Carveth said, the weakness of hunters who forget they can also be prey. They moved out at dawn. Riker carried his standard gear. Moved in his usual position. Everything appeared normal. But his comm unit had a direct encrypted line to 3 hidden positions. Varric hunters buried in the rocks. Waiting. Patient. The crystalline hunters appeared at midday. 6 of them, 8 feet tall, bodies made of living silicon. Beautiful. Deadly. They moved like light through prisms. Fast. Unpredictable. The crew engaged. Weapons fire lit up the barren landscape. Riker took cover. Returned fire, playing his part. But watching. Always watching. The battle lasted 20 minutes. Loud. Chaotic. Exactly what it needed to be. Then engines overhead. The Reaper's Edge descended. Fast. Aggressive. Landing 200 meters away. Garrett's crew emerged. 20 contractors. Weapons ready. Right on schedule. Now, Riker shouted into the comm. The 3 hidden Varric positions activated. Crossfire, perfectly coordinated. Garrett's crew found themselves in a kill box. Confusion erupted. Contractors diving for cover. Trying to understand how they'd walked into an ambush when they were supposed to be the ambushers. Garrett's voice carried across the open ground. Fall back, it's a trap. Too late. Carveth's crew moved like a single organism. Precision, efficiency, no wasted movement. They'd been hunting together for decades. Garrett's mercenaries had been together for months. The difference showed. 5 contractors down in the first 30 seconds. Non-lethal shots when possible. Disabling, stopping. Garrett himself moved toward cover. Smart, experienced. But Riker was already moving to intercept. They met behind a rocky outcrop. Former student and teacher. Both armed, both ready. "You set me up," Garrett said, not angry, almost impressed. "You taught me well. Not well enough to beat me." "We'll see." They moved simultaneously. Combat the way Garrett had taught it. Fast, brutal, efficient. But Riker had learned more than Garrett's lessons. He'd learned from the Varric. Patience, endurance, the long game. Garrett was faster, stronger, more experienced. But Riker didn't need to win, just to survive, to outlast. The fight stretched. 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. Garrett's breathing grew heavier, frustration creeping in. Why wouldn't this kid just go down? Riker stayed calm, centered, waiting for the opening. It came at 2 minutes 40 seconds. Garrett overcommitted on a strike, left his right side exposed for a fraction of a second. Riker's weapon stock caught him in the ribs. Hard. Garrett went down. Riker's sidearm came up, aimed at Garrett's head. They froze, both breathing hard. "Do it," Garrett said. "Finish it." Riker thought about it, about everything Garrett had done. The attack on Talvex 9, the threat to the Mother Beast, this ambush. About what the old Riker would have done. The angry one, the one who wanted revenge for a galaxy that treated humans as less. About what the Tharkans should do. The hunter who understood that killing wasn't always the answer. He lowered the weapon. "No, but why not? Because I'm not you." Riker stepped back, kept the weapon ready but not aimed. "Your crew is defeated. Your ship is surrounded. You have 2 choices. Leave now and never come back, or stay and face Varric justice." Garrett stared at him, disbelief in his eyes. "You're letting me go. I'm giving you the choice I wish someone had given you 10 years ago, before you became this." Garrett stood slowly, keeping his hands visible. "This isn't mercy, you know that. No, it's a lesson, the one you forgot to teach me. That being strong enough to kill doesn't mean you have to." Garrett backed toward his ship, his surviving crew already retreating. Beaten, scattered. "We're not done, Riker." "Yeah, we are. You just don't know it yet." The Reaper's edge lifted off. Damaged, limping, but functional. Carveth approached, watched the ship disappear into the atmosphere. "You let him go." "I did." "Why?" Riker looked at the marks on his arms, the story they told. "Because killing him would have been easy. Teaching him was harder, and humans don't take the easy path. You cannot teach someone who refuses to learn." "Maybe, but I had to treat." Carveth's mandibles clicked, that sound that might have been approval. "You are more Varric than you know, and more human than you realize. The combination is formidable." 3 months later, Earth orbit. The silent Talon hung above the blue-green marble of humanity's homeworld. Riker stood at the viewport, looking down at continents he had memorized as a child, oceans that covered most of the planet's surface. Home. Commander Okoye's shuttle docked at 1400 hours. She came aboard with a small team. Military, professional, curious. "Mr. Wade," she extended a hand. Riker shook it. "Commander, thank you for agreeing to meet." "Didn't agree to anything yet, just listening." "Fair enough." She presented her proposal in the briefing room. Carveth sat in, listening, evaluating. "We're calling it the Integration Initiative," Okoye explained. "Training humans to work with non-human crews, not just Varric, all species by them." Images appeared on the screen. "Training facilities, curriculum outlines, success metrics. You proved it could be done. Now we need to teach others how to do it, properly, without getting killed." "How many have tried?" Riker asked. "Since your story went public, 127 humans have joined non-human crews. 83 are still alive." The number hit hard. 83 alive meant 44 dead. "That's a 65% survival rate," Okoye continued. "Better than the 13% before you, but still unacceptable. We think proper training could push it to 90% or higher." Riker looked at Carveth. The captain's expression was unreadable. What would you need from me? 6 months, maybe a year, developing curriculum, training instructors, sharing everything you learn. And after that, you go back to hunting, to your crew. We're not trying to take you away permanently, just borrow your expertise. Riker thought about the 44 dead humans, people who'd seen his story and thought they could do the same. People who'd been trying. I need to discuss it with my crew. Of course. After Okoye left, Carveth spoke. This is important work. The hunt is important work. The hunt will always be there. This opportunity will not. Riker looked at him, really looked, seeing the 2-century-old hunter who'd taken a chance on one human, who'd seen potential where others saw weakness. What would you do if you were me? I am not you. That is why this question matters. You must choose based on what you believe, what you value. I value the crew, the hunt, what we've built. And you value those 44 dead humans who followed your example without your knowledge. The words hit like a physical blow. They died trying to prove what you proved, Carveth continued, trying to open the doors you opened, without guidance, without preparation. Their blood is not on your hands, but their deaths could inform your choice. Riker stood, walked to the viewport, Earth turning slowly below. If I do this, 6 months minimum, maybe a year, the crew will adapt, will hunt, will be here when you return. Well, you're okay with the beatless, I watched humans for 200 years before I found you. I can wait 1 year. Besides, Carveth joined him at the viewport. This is not just your story anymore. It is humanity's story, and stories need tellers, teachers, guides. I'm not a teacher. Neither was I, until I took you aboard. Now I have taught you, and you will teach others. This is how knowledge spreads, how species grow. Riker made his decision. The ceremony was held on Earth. Houston, the city where Riker was born, 200 humans gathered, candidates for the Integration Initiative. Young, hopeful, terrified. Riker stood before them, marks visible on his forearms, proof of what was possible. I'm not going to lie to you, he said. This is dangerous. Some of you will die. Not because you're weak, not because you're human, but because space is hard. Hunting is harder. And working with species that evolved to be apex predators is hardest of all. He paused. Let that sink in. But it's also possible. I'm proof, so are the 83 others who are still out there. Still working, still proving we belong. How do we survive? Someone called out. Young woman, maybe 20, fire in her eyes. By remembering what humans do best. We don't outrun, we don't outfight, we outlast, we adapt, we endure, and we never ever quit. He showed them the marks. These scars tell a story, not about being the strongest, about standing for something when standing meant death, about choosing right over easy, about proving that soft skin doesn't mean soft spirit. The training began the next day. Survival skills, cultural education, combat fundamentals, but most importantly, mindset. How to endure disrespect without losing self-respect. How to prove worth through actions, not words. How to find the strength to continue when everything said quit. Human skills, the ones that had kept humanity alive through ice ages and plagues and near-extinction events. The skills the galaxy had forgotten to value. Until now. 1 year later, Riker stood on the landing pad at Proxima Hub, duffel bag over his shoulder, same bag he'd carried onto Silent Talon 18 months ago. The ship waited. Home. Carveth stood at the airlock, waiting. Patient as stone. The training went well, the captain asked. 212 graduates, 96% survival rate in their first 6 months. You saved lives. We'll see. Ask me in 5 years. I will. Riker climbed to the ramp. The ship's gravity pulled at him. 1.3 standard. Heavier than Earth. Lighter than Talvex 9. Felt right. The crew was gathered in the main hold. Drakmor, Sella, Zeph, Rika, the others. Welcome back, Tharkin, they said in unison. Riker smiled. Good to be back. We have a hunt, Carveth said. Deep space, unknown species, Very dangerous. When do we leave? 1 hour. Perfect. Riker stowed his gear, changed into his hunting uniform, checked his equipment, everything in its place, everything ready. Through the viewport, Earth hung in the black, blue and white and green, beautiful, fragile, home to 8 billion souls who were just beginning to understand their place in the galaxy. Not the strongest species, not the fastest, not the most technologically advanced, but the most persistent, the most adaptable, the most unwilling to accept limits. The galaxy was learning that lesson. Slowly, one human at a time, the silent Talon's engines rumbled to life, pulling away from Earth orbit, heading into deep space, toward the next hunt, the next challenge. Riker took his position with the crew, not at the back, not at the front, among them, equal brother. The marks on his arms caught the light, scars that told a story, his story, humanity's story, the story of the species that learned to hunt the hunters, that learned strength came in forms beyond muscle and claw, that learned the most dangerous predator wasn't the one that struck fastest. It was the one that never stopped coming. Outside, the stars stretched into infinity, endless hunting grounds, endless possibilities. And somewhere in that vastness, other humans were stepping forward, taking their place, proving their worth, one hunt at a time, one day at a time, one impossible victory at a time. The galaxy would learn, was already learning, that when humans set their minds to something, when they committed fully, nothing could stop them. Not prejudice, not physics, not impossibility itself, because humans were inevitable, and the inevitable always won, in the end.